You either get happiness or satisfaction. It's impossible to find both. So if you see all the creatures in the world, human species are much more dominant, and it's not because of their physical attributes, because there are other animals with same physical attributes can destroy humans in one-on-one combat. And it's not because how humans use tools also, because it is not exclusive for humans. So humans' rise to power comes from their abstract thought that helps them to conceptualize, predict and plan for the future. Unlike other animals, humans weren't just worried about what they are going to eat today, but also what they are going to eat tomorrow, a week from now, months, even for years. This helped humans to ration food, predict change in seasons. So human species were the only animals that were consciously let go for present pleasures in order to pave the way for the better future. So now it's clearly evident that for survival, sacrificing happiness is key. So in this video, I want to explain why you should not seek happiness, why seeking happiness is completely false, and what you should seek instead. So back in the days when I was starting out, I used to watch these YouTube videos like interview of entrepreneurs and all. Here I want to give you guys a key advice that most of you guys might be completely beginner. So you will be watching YouTube videos, of course. So if you go to YouTube and search like business, entrepreneurship, motivation and all, this lot of motivational videos comes up of big YouTubers, like millions of subscribers will be there, millions of views also will be there on their video. So this motivational video is completely waste. If you're watching it, you should completely avoid it. Instead of that, you can watch interviews of entrepreneurs, like people who make actionable contents, addressing the problem and giving solution to it, which will be helpful for you guys, and you can relate yourself to face challenges that you face in your while starting your own business. Obviously these videos will be having very less views compared to those motivational videos, but the knowledge that you gain from is it will be immense. So that is what I experience even right now. Also, whenever I watch YouTube video, I do the same thing. But anyway, whenever I watched these interviews of entrepreneurs, one thing was most common. Like for example, I was watching interview of Pat Collins and Sebum. So Pat Collins, he's a founder of one of the biggest payment gateway, which is Stripe, and Sebum, he's a Mr. Olympia. So he told that to reach that particular milestone, he had to miss certain joy of life, like he was not going out with his friends, not partying and all. So do you think that Sebum will be in his deathbed, that he will be thinking that he wasted his life because he did not went to those parties? Absolutely not. So according to me, that is the definition of having a good life or else having a fulfilled life. So defining happiness, it's simple. It's a state of feeling where tons of chemicals will be released in our mind. So a comfortable and non-threatening environment. So what I mean by that is, so right now I can play video games, I can party with friends, I can spend like 20-30 years, but at the end of the day, during my deathbed, obviously I think I can easily tell that I wasted my life. So human brain works like like a computer, like a binary system, like ones and zeros. One means where it cares about where tons of chemicals being released, and zero means obviously not being released. So if you have two options to do, like studying or else partying with friends, playing video games, obviously brain will think about tons of chemicals being released, which means that playing video games, partying with friends. So it will always select that. So it will not consciously think about the future and the satisfaction. And most people do this. They decide their action based on their happiness. For example, like, oh, I have to quit my job, start business. Oh, it will be very hard. So instead of that, I will be just doing what my friends and families are doing. I'll be working a job. In the weekend I can party and stay happy for rest of my life. So before every single action, they think that whether they are going to be happy or not, and that is how they waste their entire life. Challenges what makes life interesting, overcoming them what makes it meaningful. So most of the people, when they decide to do those actions which leads to satisfaction, they face problems or else challenges, and only those can overcome those challenges who cherish it. So cherishing challenge is very important. So I want to explain this with a story of a boy who had this power of dreaming. So he had this power of dreaming of whatever he wants, and in one night he could dream 70 years of his life. So on his very first dream, he decides to dream of all the pleasures. So like that, after several nights of dreaming pleasures, so he gets bored with it. Then he decides to dream of risky situation, like near death experiences. So he dreams that, and when he woke up, he feels excited. He feels that that was a closed one. So like that, after several nights of dreaming risky situation, he gets bored with that too. Then he decides to dream of going into completely unknown, where he is not playing the god, which is exactly where he is now. He wished to dream a life where he is actually living today, where he is not playing the god, that is within the infinite choices that he would have. So then he realizes the actual meaning of life, and to live the life to the fullest, he has to face challenges going into the unknown, to doing things differently, and living a life just for happiness, or else for temporary pleasures, is like being dead. It's the fear and the feeling of anxiety going into the unknown is what makes life worth living. So one more topic I had to tell you guys is that suffering and sacrifice both are inevitable. You can't literally avoid it. So let's say suffering. So most people avoid suffering. For example, if they want to study or else want to start a business, or they think that it is very suffering. We have to quit our job, start business. We cannot party. We have to invest our time, money. So it is very risky. The fear will be there. What if it does not work? So altogether, it comes to suffering only. So that's why they choose to be happy. They choose to do what their friends and family are doing, party, all those things. But anyhow, even after 5 years, 10 years, or else 15 years, the suffering will come. At that time, we suffer for those things that we have not done. So it's basically regret. At that time, we have to suffer. It comes either way. But according to me, the best way to suffer is to suffer early and feel satisfied in the end, or else fulfilled in the end, rather than the second option of suffering, where we will be completely filled with regret. And similar way, sacrifice. Suppose if you see the great athletes like Virat Kohli or else Cristiano Ronaldo, they don't party. They will be working out. They will be doing those things which is important to them, which is to be the greatest in their field. If they don't want to do those things, like if they don't want to practice, if they don't want to party, if they want to party and do all those things, then the sacrifice becomes that option, which is to be the greatest in that particular field. So if they sacrifice this thing, which is partying with the friends, going out, drinking, whatever it may be, playing video games, so you can relate to yourself. If you sacrifice those things, then only you can get other things. So you can't do both. So there will be a trade between those two things. So even sacrifice is unavoidable. But end of the day, we have to choose those things which will give us that fulfillment, which we can easily tell that, okay, we lived a good life, we lived a fulfillment life. So the comparison between the sacrifices and the suffering that we choose, either we will be fulfilled or not. So that's why before taking any action, whether it leads to the suffering or else whether some sacrifices that we have to do, we have to think about the future, whether we will be fulfilled by doing that particular thing or not. By that particular metric, we can choose the actions that we are going to do. To live is to suffer, to survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. So this was wrote by Friedrich Nietzsche. So in his book, he told that if you want to have an excellent life, you have to learn to see the suffering as a good thing. Matter of fact, you have to see suffering as a great thing. You must learn to embrace discomfort, pain, emotional distress, and resistance as worthy things, and direct them towards your highest aim. You see, your most dominant life lies on the other side of the highest resistance. If you want to be the man that you always wanted to be, you must see the resistance, pain, and even suffering as a positive things in life. In short, to fully affirm life, you must possess strong enough why. For example, if a boxer want to be a world champion, all of a sudden all his blood, sweat and tears becomes meaningful. I like this scene in Batman where he decides to becoming a symbol of something greater. When we also do the same thing, it puts suffering into a perspective, and all of a sudden we have a purpose, a meaning in a pain. So that's it guys, until next time, have a dangerous badass day. Peace out.
But if you make yourself more than just a man, if you devote yourself to an ideal, and if they can't stop you, then you become something else entirely.
Which is?
Legend, Mr. Wayne.